On the GeoBreeze Travel YouTube channel, we break down how to find award flights and make the most out of your points and miles through easy-to-follow step-by-step tutorials. But what if you're like, Julia, it's still too complicated for me. I need an even easier way to find these flight deals. Well, if that's you, you're going to want to look into a tool called Qsuites.aero, and this video breaks down just how easy it is to find some of the best business class deals with this tool. So let's jump right in. Alright, the first example we're going to go through is how to find Delta One suites for not very many points. We don't want to be spending hundreds of thousands of points on that, and a super easy way to find these first class flights. So I like to use Qsuites.aero for this. I use the Pro version, which is only about $8, and they actually have this tab under Tools where you can click on Delta One Finder. And this will tell you all of the availability that they can find for how to book Delta First Class. They have a really good sweet spot to Europe on Delta One. So we can actually do this where we just search for 50,000 points because that's how much it's going to cost if you book this flight through Virgin Atlantic to fly business class from North America over to Europe in Delta One. So there's usually not a lot of availability, and this is why this tool can save you so much time, as you don't have to click through every single date to try to find these 3 available spots. So let's say that we like this August one and we want to fly from JFK over to Berlin on Delta One. Then we can go over to Virgin Atlantic, search for JFK to Berlin one way on August 8th for 1 passenger. Make sure that you click on Advanced Search and highlight Points, Upper Class, and then click Go. And here we do see that it's only 50,000 miles plus $6.10, and it's operated by Delta Airlines. If we wanted to see details about this, we do confirm that it is a Delta One flight. If we wanted to search for the exact same flight on Delta's own website, let's say that we had to click through all of the different dates to find where there was availability, we'd search for JFK to Berlin one way, August 8th, 1 passenger, advanced search, in first class, and we are shopping with miles. Let's actually just highlight Delta One here. And then click Go. It is 340,000 points to do the exact same flight. So if we wanted to click here and say continue, 340,000 points plus $7 in taxes and fees to fly this Delta One flight. And over here, if we wanted to do the exact same thing at 4:50 p.m. nonstop, we are spending a fraction of that. And the nice thing is that pretty much any flexible points currency will transfer over to Virgin Atlantic, whereas that is not the case with Delta. Also, if you wanted to see all of the different dates possible, you could search JFK to Berlin, advanced search, points, and then show flexible dates, upper class. And then up here where it says flexible dates, you could change this to say flexible calendar, just in case you think that there's going to be stuff that Qsuites.aero doesn't find. And it does see this July 31st one as well as August 8th and 9, but all 3 of those were found by Qsuites.aero. The thing is, if you didn't know to search within this range of this week and you're searching for something in late July, for example, it's just going to show you that there's nothing available. You can't just type in a week where there is no availability and see the full calendar. You have to first find a week where there is any availability before you can do the full flexible calendar. If you're just getting started with points and miles, and that was a crazy advanced example, we offer a free Points and Miles 101 course for you to help you earn and redeem points for your first redemption. The free course covers acronyms, impacts to your credit score, how to get free upgrades by sending a quick email, and how to easily get top-tier status with many of your favorite airlines and hotel chains. You can grab the free course at geobreezetravel.com/free course or check out the link in the description box. Not only can Qsuites.aero help with finding first-class flights with Delta, but it works wonders with a few other airlines too. Here's how to quickly find all the available seats if you want to fly Lufthansa first class or business class. Okay, let's go over an easy way to find a whole bunch of first-class flights over to Europe for not a lot of points. So once again, we're going to go to Qsuites.aero, and under Tools, we're going to go to this Lufthansa first-class finder. This is going to have stuff with United and Air Canada. Some of them are going to cost more than 100,000 points. The sweet spot we're actually looking for is going to be by booking Lufthansa first class through Avianca, and it's only going to cost 87,000 points. If you type in an 87 in the search bar, it'll show you all of the different dates where they have this available. And as you can see, availability is a little bit scarce, so there's only a few dates that you can pick from, and it would take forever to find these dates and routes if you're just searching by hand on avianca.com. So let's go ahead and check with Avianca if these things actually exist. Let's do June 17 from Munich over to JFK. So we go over to Avianca. Make sure you go to lifemiles.com rather than avianca.com. It's a little bit confusing, but their Avianca site doesn't actually let you book anything with points and miles. So once you're on lifemiles.com, click on this travel tab. So this is going to take you to lifemiles.com/fly/find. Change this to be a Star Alliance. We're just going to search for one way for now. And then this date that we wanted to look at was 6/17, Munich over to JFK. And it does mark it with a blue dot most of the time if there is some pretty good award availability. So let's go ahead and click on the 17th. And this is how you can easily find this first class flight with Lufthansa from Munich over to JFK for only 87,000 points, or you could fly it in business class for only 63,000 points. This Lufthansa first class finder only shows you the routes where you have first class availability, but there's actually a ton more space for business class. And the way that you can find those is up here. Make sure that you click on Avianca Life Miles. Then, like in that past example, all of the availability was from Europe back to North America, but let's say you needed a way to get from North America over to Europe in the first place. There might not be any first class availability, but there could be a lot of business class availability. So you're just going to click on North America to Europe, check mark on the Pro Extended Availability, and then sort by business class. And then here, most of these are going to be 63, this one's 75, 63. So then you can see what airports and what routes you can fly. So let's say that you wanted to fly from IAD. We have options to go to Frankfurt here, Vienna, Munich, Brussels, London, Heathrow. And all of these are going to be 63,000 miles. And the nice thing about Avianca is it doesn't pass on those high taxes and fees most of the time. So even if you're flying into something like London, you're not going to see as high of taxes and fees versus if you're booking with something like Virgin Atlantic or British Airways. So let's say that we wanted to do this flight from IAD over to Frankfurt. We would go back to Life Miles and then change our query. Still going to be Star Alliance one way. From IAD over to Frankfurt, from child or adult, and business or first class. And then the date that we found this for is going to be July 3rd. And we do see that they have this business class availability operated on Lufthansa, but they don't have first class availability on this particular date. If you're enjoying these step-by-step tutorials so far, please let me know by clicking that like button, leaving a comment, and subscribing to the channel for even more points and miles tips each week. We release a weekly video with all of these step-by-step tutorials and also a weekly episode of the GeoBreeze Travel podcast, where I interview diverse points enthusiasts from all walks of life about the types of strategies and points conversations that don't always make it to page 1 of Google. Not only does Avianca have amazing sweet spots to Europe for only 63,000 points per person one way, but there's actually a super sweet spot where you can fly to Europe for only 35,000 points per person one way in business class. Here's how to find those deals. There is another Avianca sweet spot where you can fly from North America over to Europe for only 35,000 miles. Shout out to Miguel from the Travel Sergeant for showing me this one. And so in order to find this, you want to go to routes up here and then search specifically for JFK to Lisbon, Portugal. It's the only route this works on, and unfortunately it doesn't work from Lisbon back to JFK, but you can find, once you sort on business class, all of the dates where you can fly over to Portugal for only 35,000 miles, and this is in business class with TAP Portugal. So let's test out one of these dates. Let's say we wanted to go on the 13th of January, JFK over to Lisbon. We're going to go back over to Life Miles. We are going to change this to be JFK over to Lisbon. This was in January. And so this doesn't show up with a blue dot a lot of the time. So if you were trying to find this by hand without Seats.Aero, you're going to be clicking on a lot of different dates. And if you're searching in January, you have a pretty good chance of finding it because they have availability on the 12, 13, 15, 16, 18, 20, 25, 26, 27, 30. So you've got a good amount of dates and a pretty high probability of finding it. But if you're trying to go through every date in October, November, December, and going on from there, Like in March, they only have one date that's available, but they have some more dates in February and April. So this just makes it really easy to find all the dates where there is availability, because LifeMiles is not making that easy for us on this screen. So let's click on the 13th, and we do see that availability from JFK over to Lisbon, operated on Air Portugal nonstop, and it's only 35,000 points plus $27 in business class. It is worth noting that when you see something on Seats.aero, you should always check to make sure it's actually with LifeMiles or whoever the partnered airline up here is before you transfer your points over. Because let's say that we wanted to change our date and maybe we say, okay, it says there's something here on the 12th. But when we look here, we don't see that Air Portugal flight anywhere here with business class, because it's all going to be mixed where it's a little bit of economy and a little bit of business class, and they don't have that direct flight for 35,000 points because that flight was found 3 days ago. So even though they did see that availability 3 days ago, somebody snatched it up. It's not available on lifemiles.com. And if you had a very strict date requirement where you're like, I have to fly out on the 12th, oh, they have this availability, let's move over 35,000 points, you'd be kind of SOL because you can't get those points back once you transfer them over. So best practice, always make sure that you are checking with the actual airline to see if there is availability before you transfer your points over. If you are looking to earn more points so that you can jump on these amazing redemptions, there are two main ways to do this. The first one is with credit card sign-up bonuses, where you can quickly earn tens of thousands of points in just a couple months by meeting a minimum spend. If you're in the market for a new credit card and would like a recommendation for a card that fits your particular goals, budget, and lifestyle, I offer free credit card consultations at geobreezetravel.com/consultations. The second method is earning points without opening up more and more credit cards, and there are a ton of ways to do that. I go over some of my favorite methods like stacking, reimbursable spending, and status matching in a free webinar called You Don't Need 20 Cards. And you can sign up for the free webinar by going to geobreezetravel.com/webinar, which you can find in the description box. Okay, we have one last tutorial for you, and it covers how to easily find availability to one of the most aspirational destinations on one of the most aspirational business class products for way fewer points than you would expect. Let's talk about how to go all the way to the Maldives in Qatar Airways Qsuites, even if you're flying from a smaller airport like Kansas City. And if you're looking for even more next level ways to make the most out of your points and credit card benefits, and you're not sure how to do so, we have a couple of options for you. The first one is through the GeoBreeze Travel Patreon, which you can access through patreon.com/geobreezetravel. Each month, we prepare a members-only video with step-by-step tutorials based on the exact departure airports, destination airports, and points currencies that our members request. We also host a group coaching session each month where we often have special topics and deep dives into different programs, and you can ask any questions that you have about earning points, redeeming points, credit cards, or anything else in the open forum group coaching. We also have a lot of people who join the $5 level of the Patreon just to say, hey, thank you for the free content on YouTube, Instagram, and the podcast, and I am all here for that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. The second option is for business owners or individuals who spend more than $100,000 a year on expenses. If that's you, we would love to chat with you about our points portfolio management offer, where we can show you how to get some really incredible luxury travel with the amount of points that you can earn with that level of spend. You can book a free intro chat with us at geobreezetravel.com/intro call to learn more. We actually use Seats.aero to fulfill a lot of those client requests, and this video isn't sponsored by them or anything like that. But if you would like to try out the pro version, which is $8 per month, I do have a referral link to it in the description box as well. All right, here's the play for how to easily jump on one of the most sought after points trips known to humankind. Okay, we have one more example for you today, and that's how to fly all the way to the Maldives in the best business class product in the sky, and an easy way to find all of the availability in business class without spending a fortune in points or money. So here's how you do that. Once again, we're going to go to Seats.aero and then go to Tools and then go to Qatar Qsuites Finder. Checkbox on the Pro Extended Availability. And then we are going to search from North America over to Asia. Type in whatever major airport is closest to you to see if it's there, because they're going to have availability from maybe JFK, SFO only has a couple dates, LAX has nothing, ORD has quite a few dates, IAD, IAH. So that's just a quick way to see all the different positioning airports where you might be able to fly over to the Maldives and connect through Qatar on Qsuites. So let's do an example for Houston. Let's say you're taking a look at these dates and you're thinking, okay, spring break is a good time to go. That's around April 29. Let's see if we can find this availability. And they're saying it's only 68.5 thousand points. So what you're going to do is go to AmericanAirlines.com, and then you are going to search for IAH over to Doha first to make sure that Qsuites availability is there, and 429. And the thing with American Airlines is, even if you don't have Seats.Aero Pro, they make it pretty easy to just use their calendar and see if you wanted to filter down to business or first class, where are all of the dates where you have this type of availability. So we have it on the 29th where it's showing 66.5 thousand points. And if we sort on business class, that's a little bit of an annoying route where it's got two different stops. I would prefer to just pay 4,000 more points and take this 70,000 point route, and then it's going to be operated by Qatar, and it is going to be nonstop. So when you see something like this where it says Qatar Airways and nonstop up here, and then the details, this is exactly what we are looking for. So now that we know this flight exists, let's see if we can tack some stuff onto either end and see if there's more availability to get us all the way to the Maldives with this. So that's the hard part. We've already found the flight over to Doha and Qsuites. So let's go ahead and search for Mali in the Maldives, same date. Go ahead and click go. Sort by business class, and they do have that available where it's from Houston over to Doha, operated by Qatar, and then Doha over to Mali, operated by Qatar. And the nice thing about this is that they don't add any extra points to the price. It's still just 70,000 points to do that. But now, what if you are not based in Houston and you're like, well, I'm based in a small airport like Kansas City, and I'm pretty sure Kansas City doesn't operate anything over to Doha, then hopping over to the Maldives. What you can do is you can still search with American Airlines, and let's say Kansas City to the Maldives. Let's just try the same date for now, but we can always change it up with the calendar view. And then click on search. And then here, 3 stops is a bit much. I think we can do it in 2 stops or fewer. This one actually, I expected to route through Houston, but it's routing through Miami, where you do Kansas City to Miami, then Miami to Doha, Doha to Maldives. This first one's going to be on American Airlines. Then these second 2 are what we're looking for in Qatar Qsuites, and it is still just 70,000 points to get all the way from Kansas City to the Maldives in one of the best business class products in the sky. The thing with American Airlines is, Bilt is the only flexible transferable currency that will transfer over there. Chase, American Express, Citi, and Capital One unfortunately do not go to American Airlines. That does not mean all hope is lost. When you see these different dates on Seats.Aero, you could also check on British Airways. So once you log into British Airways, go ahead and highlight book, click on book a flight with Avios, and then let's try each step one at a time. So Houston over to Doha first and make sure the partner flight is available with British Airways. It was on 429. We are searching for business class. Let's go. And then say we want to continue without any stopovers. And they have 2 business class products left. You want to make sure you click on this one that's operated by Qatar rather than the ones with British Airways, because that's not the route that we want. So how much are they charging for this on British Airways? So this would be the same, 70,000 Avios. It is going to cost a little bit more in taxes and fees, but if you wanted to do this Houston route over to Doha, it costs the same. So now let's tack on the Maldives part and see if British Airways can ticket that. Once again, we're going to book a flight with Avios. And instead of Houston to just Doha, let's see if we can go Houston to the Maldives, same date. It's going to be in business class, get flights. No stopovers. They say they have these 2 left in first class, so let's see what that's about. There's a problem booking this one, so try selecting something else. This is what we're looking for anyway, is Houston over to Doha, Doha over to the Maldives, non-stop on Qatar. And so rather than the 70,000 points plus $40 that we saw on American Airlines, it's going to ticket it by segment. So it costs a little bit more to do this with British Airways, where it's going to cost 85,000 Avios plus $207. Still not a bad deal at all to get over to the Maldives. And if you don't have any American Airlines or Bilt points, then you can still transfer over Chase or Amex or Capital One over to British Airways to get this one booked. Let's see how much it would cost if we wanted to do that Kansas City one. We're going to search MCI over the Maldives, same date, business class, get flights. And unfortunately, they don't have any availability there. So if you wanted to do this one where you're from a smaller airport, You could just find the Miami flight or the Houston flight or something else on British Airways and then just buy a quick positioning flight from Kansas City over to Texas or over to Florida and then continue on the rest of your journey on points. Alternatively, you could do the American Airlines route where you get some Bilt or American Airlines miles and then fly those from Kansas City through Miami, through Doha, over to the Maldives for only 70,000 points plus $42. I hope you found those tutorials useful. Viewer requests on future topics are always welcome, so please let us know in the comments if there are any topics that you would like us to do a deep dive on. In the meantime, if you like these types of tutorials, I think you'll really enjoy this video next.